Alright, so out of all the comics that I've read this year, I compiled a list of 10 that I thought were the best. I went to Twitter, made a poll. I let the people on Twitter kind of vote on what order they would go in, kind of make this a little bit more democratic. And after the worst of 2018, I figured it'd be appropriate to make a best of 2018 to kind of balance it out. I know a lot of people want a more positive video, so this is it. This is nothing but the best of 2018, at least out of the things I read. So, it's again, if something that you really liked is not here, I'm sorry. I can't read every single comic as much as I wish I could, but I tried to pick the ones that I really liked, and I think a lot of these are pretty popular and ones that most people like anyway. So let's get right into it and go into the best comics of 2018. Coming in at number 10 is Doomsday Clock, the forever delayed series. This series comes out like once every 2 months or so, but I have to say, I look forward to it when it does eventually come out. I think the team that works on it falls behind quite a bit, but there's been some really good stuff in this comic. For one, it's actually done politics correctly in comics. The most recent issue where Superman goes to Russia and kind of has a back and forth with Putin, I thought was pretty well done. Just about everything in the series is a lot of fun. I think it's a very good follow-up to the original Watchmen, and I'm looking forward to the conclusion. The way the things are going with this book, though, I bet you we won't see the final issue of this book until like fall of 2019. Either way, I'm really enjoying it, and I think if you haven't been reading Doomsday Clock, you should. I wouldn't wait for the trades either. It's going to be a whole another year before they finally release that, probably. Let's move on to number 9. Batman White Knight, a very loved series. Available in trade paperback now, if you are looking for something fun to read, is another series that has done politics right. It showed left and right sides of the aisle and did so impartially. The creator is a really nice guy, big car guy. If you love all the Batmobiles, they're all in here. That's really cool. A lot of homage to Batman's cars, which I really appreciated. Also, the story is really interesting. So it's basically the Joker getting cured and working against Batman within the confines of the law. And I think that story was really remarkable. Supposedly, it's set in the same universe as the animated series. I'm not too sure about that. It's kind of just a suggestion. But either way, I think this has been one of the better Batman stories, probably in the past couple of years. So if you're looking for a good Batman story that you can just read, and you don't need to know anything, you could just pick this up. You don't have to follow anything going on in the DC universe, as this has its own universe. I think Batman White Knight is worth your time. Let's move on to number 8. So I'm going with Nightwing here. I know this isn't the most loved comic, but I've really been enjoying the direction that this comic has went in. You basically have Dick Grayson going on his own Nightfall. He lost his memories. He's kind of become a new person, and we have a team of vigilante police officers taking up the mantle. They pretty much assimilated all of his old costumes and weapons, and they've been trying to pick up the slack. There's been a really big arc building towards Scarecrow, and I'm not sure how they're going to fix everything. You know they're not going to leave Nightwing like this, but I think that this will have a lot of long-lasting implications for the character, and they've really done a good job of taking a kind of B-list comic and moving it really up into the big time, and I don't think it gets enough exposure. And I think if you can look past the 400th amnesic hero story, you might find something you really like here. They're not going to leave Nightwing like this. You know he'll be back to normal, and I think it's worth looking at. So let's move on to number 7. All right, so Marvel 2-in-1, The Human Torch and The Thing. This was a really great lead up to the bringing back of the Fantastic Four. I just wish that Chip Zdarsky could have taken over Fantastic Four after this book. The ending of this series got kind of messed up. Personally, I think because of wonky editorial members, Tom Brevoort and Alana Smith, who anything they have their name attached to, they mess up. However, the storytelling in this was really good. It was only, what was this, like 12, 13 issues. Every issue was pretty good. The art kind of took a dip off, but the story was amazing. This is one of the better epics that we've had out of Marvel in a long time. And with the series now completed, it should be moving into a graphic novel soon. I really think that this is worth checking out. This has been one of the better storylines that come out of the Marvel comic universe, probably since Planet Hulk. So give it a look. I think you'll like it. Let's move on to number 6. Coming in at number 6, we have Spectacular Spider-Man by Chip Zdarsky. We just had another book by him at number 7. I personally would have put this book a little higher. The last issue that Zdarsky did for Spectacular Spider-Man was amazing. Probably one of the best comic books I've ever read, to be honest. He did the art and the writing for that whole issue. And if it doesn't win awards, it shows and proves the point that we've all said, that all these awards for the Eisners go for wokeness and not quality. This series started out weird. Started out some kind of weird sitcom, trying to be like Friends or Seinfeld, Spider-Man or something. And then by issue 5, he really found his footing, and it went into one of the best arcs that I've read in years for Spider-Man. It was really nice because we were getting this alongside of Dan Slott's horrible run. Before it went to the Red Goblin, and I got decent, and then we moved on to Spencer, who we'll see again real soon. But this was definitely one of the better Spider-Man runs that we've gotten in a long time. And if you missed it, you should at least check out issue 5 and up for his run. The first 4 are terrible, but you could skip those and not miss a beat. You could even start right here at issue 6. This was one of the best issues. It started the whole Jonah-Peter partnership that's been going on for a while that really has been one of the greatest things in the comic right now. Let's move on to number 5. All right, so we got Charles Soule's Darth Vader, and this comic was a blast. I missed the first half of it. I've been catching up, and I got to tell you, this is a really good series. There was a lot of looking at him as he first became a Sith Lord, basically. This pretty much picks up a little bit after he's becomes Darth Vader on the table, and you really get to see him at the peak of his power. There was another Darth series before this, and I don't remember who writes it, but that one was also as good. This one was fantastic, and I really think it's worth a look. This is probably one of the better spots of the Disney Star Wars transition. The actual mainline Star Wars comic is terrible, but these Darth Vader solo books that they put out have been awesome. There was a big reveal in the last issue. You can check out my review on my other channel if you're looking for what happened there. But this was definitely a good run. It just ended about 2 weeks ago. So there should be trade paperbacks coming when they drop. I highly suggest you check them out. Let's move on to number 4. Coming in at number 4, we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I'd also like to include Go-Go Power Rangers in here as like a side note. Both books were excellent this year. You had that really amazing Shatter Grid run, which was one of the best events that I've seen for a long time in comics. They really didn't spare any expense for it. They even went and got Jason David Frank, and he kind of did a quick roll of Draken, where they did a nice trailer for the series, got all the props from the show. They even got back the old composer for the show, and they really pulled out all the stops for this, and that's something that you just don't see that much of in comics anymore. So to see that kind of promotion going into a book that was really deserving of it was nice to see. If you missed this run, you can get the whole thing in trade paperbacks now. It's highly worth your time. This is one of the best times I had reading comics in a couple of years, so I think it's well worth a look. Give it a shot. Even if you didn't like the original series, this is a much more adult take on things. It's not campy and kiddie. This is definitely geared towards adults. Give it a look. Let's move on to number 3. All right, coming in at number 3 is the Immortal Hulk. Now, as someone that was never a big Hulk fan, I got to tell you, it's amazing that I'm enjoying this series. Despite the fact that the writer is a complete jerk, this series has been amazing. It's really brought this kind of horror feel to the character. It's very dark, very different. If you were a fan of the Hulk before, It's hard to say if you would enjoy it because I've never been a big Hulk fan, but this book has really pulled me in. It's one of the more popular books, in my opinion, that I look forward to every month. I want to know where the story is going. I get excited when I read it. It's something that, a lot of comics lose the face of. They don't think about or care about that. They're too busy putting agendas and politics in their books, but this book just gives you straight up fun. Every book I love starts with like a quote from something in history, and it applies to the book, and it really feels like a horror novel, and I think that that's very appropriate, and it's definitely an interesting way to take the character. Let's move on to number 2. All right, we got Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man, which has totally undone a decade of slot trash. This book has been fantastic. It's been fun. It feels like a Spider-Man book. A lot of the stuff that Dan Slott would never do with the character has been done again. We've got Mary Jane and Peter Parker back together. The biggest hint seems to be that they're going to undo One More Day, maybe. It's kind of looking that way, something that Slott said would never happen, but we've had a lot of teases that that's looking like it's going to be the case. And, I, like a lot of people, had a lot of reservation for this book, particularly because of Spencer's history with Captain America, but it seems like he's totally redeemed himself. This has been one of the best Spider-Man books that I've read in a long time, because I was not a big fan of Dan Slott. Dan Slott's best work, in my opinion, was Superior Spider-Man, which I did love, but his genuine take on Spider-Man, I just didn't care for. He seemed to hate Peter Parker, which just didn't make any sense, but it's really nice that Spencer's on here doing a great job. I hope he stays for a while and keeps going the direction he's in, because he's really just knocking it out of the park with every issue. Let's move on to number 1. So, of course, Venom takes the top spot. This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who is following comics right now. This comic has been firing on all cylinders since Cates took it over. It's been consistently good on art, which is amazing. Usually, by the time a Marvel book hits number 8, they switch to a cheaper artist. That has not been the case with Venom. Venom has held top-notch art and writing the entire time. And he's been doing some interesting things with the character that generally make this book work. This is a hard book to write, I would imagine, because of the nature of Venom and Eddie Brock. But Cates has been doing it, man. And every month, this is one of the top 3 that I look forward to. And I really think that as long as he's on this book, it'll stay solid. It's amazing to see a book like this come out in today's Marvel, because we don't get very many, even though it looks like we do because of the pics I put on here. But keep in mind that none of these books get much promotion. They're too busy pumping all of their promotional dollars into like Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel, and books like this really rely on word of mouth and letting people know that they're good. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you thought about this list. Do you agree with the ordering? Is there anything that you would have liked to have seen on here? What is your list? Give me the comics you think were the best of the year. I'm interested to know. I do read all the comments, even if I don't reply. I love, especially since I've been under the weather lately, I've been sitting down and reading through all of them, and it's been nice. It's nice to have something to read and stuff, and it's nice to know that, you guys care and stuff. So thanks for your support. We're going on to 2019. I hope everyone has a great new year, and check out the links in my description. You got my Stream Me and my Patreon. Also, throw a like up, subscribe, make sweet love that notification bell, and I'll see all of you on the next one.